Business Essentials Podcast. Unlock your career.
Learn to speak business English like a pro.
Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Marcus, and today we're tackling something that's costing you responses, deals, and relationships, and you're probably doing it without even realizing it. We're talking about follow-up emails. Specifically, why opening with, "I hope this email finds you well," is killing your response rates. Quick heads up, if you're working on your business English, this episode is packed with phrases you can steal and use immediately. Sarah's going to share the exact language that actually gets responses. So Sarah, let's just jump in. Why is this such a big problem?
Well, Marcus, here's what's crazy. 70% of cold emails never get a follow-up at all. People send one email, get no response, and just give up. But research shows that sending even a single follow-up increases your reply rate by over 19%. And if you structure those follow-ups correctly, using behavioral psychology, that number jumps to 300% or more.
300%? That's massive.
It is. But most people who do follow up are making critical mistakes that actually make things worse. The biggest one? Using generic openers like, "I hope this email finds you well." Research shows that 95% of professionals receive 50-plus emails daily with those exact words. Your recipient's brain literally processes it as template spam.
So their eyes just skip over it?
That's right. It's become invisible. And worse, it signals you haven't put any real effort into understanding their specific situation.
So give me an example. What does a bad follow-up look like?
All right, imagine this. You send someone a cold email on Monday. It's decent. You've explained what you do. You've made an offer. They don't respond. 3 days later, you follow up. "Hi, Sarah. I hope this email finds you well. Just wanted to follow up on my last email to see if you had a chance to look at it. Would love to hear your thoughts or set up a quick call."
That sounds pretty normal, honestly.
That's the problem. From the recipient's perspective, what have you offered them? You've asked for 3 things: a response, their thoughts, and a meeting, but given them 0 value in return.
So it's all extraction, no value?
Precisely. And that violates the reciprocity principle. This is a foundational principle from behavioral psychology. When you give someone something of value first, an insight, a resource, a carefully researched recommendation, their brain automatically feels obligated to return that gesture.
Can you break down that term, reciprocity principle?
Sure. Reciprocity means the human instinct to return favors. If I give you something valuable, you feel a psychological pull to give something back. It's hardwired into us from childhood.
So basically, you give before you ask.
Right. But most professionals do the opposite. They ask for something, approval, response, decision, without offering anything new. And the recipient just feels annoyed.
So what should they do instead?
Instead of that generic follow-up, you'd send, "Sarah, I came across this report on regulatory strategies for European market expansion that might give you quick insights into compliance challenges. Thought you'd find it useful. If you want to chat about how companies in your space are approaching this, I'm here. If not, hopefully the resource adds some value anyway."
That's completely different.
Right? You've offered value up front, research, a resource, insights, without expecting anything immediately in return. This activates the reciprocity principle. The recipient feels that psychological obligation to at least acknowledge or engage.
In response rates?
When you shift from extraction-based to value addition-based follow-ups, response rates jump from 2 to 5% to 15 to 30%. That's a 500% improvement.
That's incredible. So let's drill down into this. What other mistakes are people making?
Great phrase, by the way. Drill down into means to examine something in detail, really dig into the specifics. You'd say, "Let's drill down into the numbers to understand where we're losing customers." It's common in business when you want to move from high-level discussion to specific details.
Got it. So what's another big mistake?
The second huge mistake is the repetition trap. People send the same message over and over with different timestamps. Email 1 says, "I'd love to chat about how we help companies improve efficiency." Email 2, 3 days later, "Just following up, would love to chat about efficiency improvements."
And that backfires?
Completely. The recipient views this as spam, not persistence. Response rate? Maybe 2%. and the unsubscribe probability jumps to 45 to 60%.
So you need to change the message each time?
Absolutely. Each follow-up should have a distinct purpose and offer something new. Research from Yesware, analyzing over 500,000 sales emails, found that sequences with varied messaging achieve 33% reply rates, compared to 8% for campaigns that repeat the same pitch.
What does varied messaging mean in practice?
Each email offers different information or asks a different question. Your first email establishes what you do and why you're relevant. Your second email, 3 days later, shares a case study or specific statistic related to their industry. Your third email, a week later, asks a genuine question about their situation.
Can you give me a concrete example?
Sure. You're reaching out to a company expanding into a new market. Email 1. I noticed your company just launched in the European market. We've worked with 3 similar B2B companies on international expansion, and they typically see 40 to 60% longer sales cycles due to compliance complexity. Here's a quick guide that might help.
So that's establishing relevance and offering initial value.
Right. Then email 2, 3 days later. Sarah, I wanted to share something that came across my desk yesterday. A recent study found that companies focusing on regulatory partnerships in their 90 days see 3 times faster vendor adoption. I've attached the summary. It's only 2 pages.
So you're offering something materially new.
Yes. And email 3, a week later, shifts to genuine curiosity. I'm curious about how you're approaching the compliance piece of the European expansion. Are you building in-house expertise, partnering with external specialists, or a blend of both?
So that's asking about their specific situation.
Correct. This is the first email that actually asks rather than pitches, and that dramatically lowers the barrier to response. If they respond, they've initiated two-way dialogue.
What's the response rate at that point?
If someone has received all 3 emails, the probability they respond to the third is about 60 to 75%. Compare that to the 2% response rate for just checking in emails.
Let's talk about timing. When should you send these follow-ups?
This is critical. Research shows that 91% of all emails that will ever be opened are opened within the first 24 hours. And 90% of all replies occur within 24 hours after an email is opened.
So the window is incredibly compressed.
Very much so. Most people follow up 7 to 10 days later, when the original email is completely out of working memory. But if you follow up within 2 to 3 days, the original message is still cognitively accessible.
So the optimal timing is what? Day 3?
Day 3 for your first follow-up, Day 7 for your second, Day 14 for your third. That spacing keeps you present without feeling pushy.
What about the day of the week?
Hugely important. Emails sent Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday between 9 a.m. and noon achieve 70% higher open rates than emails sent evenings or weekends.
Let's talk about personalization. What does that actually mean?
This is where most people get it wrong. They think inserting the recipient's first name counts as personalization. But research from Hunter.io, analyzing 11 million emails, found that first-name personalization alone actually decreases response rates by 12%.
Wait, it makes things worse?
Yes, because it's obviously automated. Recipients recognize it immediately as a mass-sent template.
So what's real personalization?
Real personalization means spending 3 to 5 minutes researching the recipient individually. You reference something specific about their company, recent news, a product launch, a challenge your research suggests they're facing. Deep personalization drives 52% higher reply rates.
Can you give me an example?
Instead of, "Hi Sarah, I hope you're doing well," you'd say, "Sarah, I read your company's Q3 earnings report and noticed you're expanding into the European market. I thought this case study on market entry strategies might be relevant given your timeline."
So you're showing you've consumed information about their business?
Precisely. That signals genuine effort and authentic interest.
What about the language you use in these follow-ups? Specific phrases that work better?
Absolutely. One phrase that consistently outperforms generic language is starting with, "I noticed," or "I came across." For example, "I noticed your company is moving into this market," or I came across your recent product launch.
Why does that work?
It frames your email as triggered by external research, not your need to pitch. It feels more like sharing something valuable than selling something.
What about the call to action? How should you ask for what you want?
This is where the psychology gets really interesting. Most people ask for the biggest commitment immediately, a meeting, a decision, a long call. But research shows that structuring requests as small, achievable steps dramatically increases response rates.
So, what's an example of a small commitment?
Instead of, let's schedule a 30-minute call, you'd say, would you be open to a 2-minute video showing how we solved this for a similar company? That's a much smaller ask. And once someone takes that small action, they're psychologically more inclined to take the next step.
Is there a term for that principle?
Yes, the commitment and consistency principle. Once people make even a small commitment, they unconsciously strive to behave consistently with that commitment.
That's smart. What about when you're not getting any response at all? What do you do on that final follow-up?
By the fourth follow-up, around day 14, you want to use what I call a pattern interrupt. You acknowledge your earlier assumptions might have been wrong and offer a graceful off-ramp.
Can you give me that language exactly?
You'd say, Sarah, quick thought. I've been assuming the European expansion is a near-term priority, but maybe I misread your timeline, or the challenges you're facing are different. Either way, I wanted to make sure you had this resource. If it makes sense to chat down the line, you know where to find me.
So you're removing all pressure?
Completely. And paradoxically, many recipients respond at this point because you've demonstrated genuine respect and removed the transactional feeling.
Before we wrap up, let's do a quick vocabulary recap. What were the main business English terms we covered?
The main ones were drill down into, reciprocity principle, commitment and consistency, and pattern interrupt. Drill down into means to examine something in detail. Reciprocity principle is the instinct to return favors when someone gives you value first.
And the other two?
Commitment and consistency means that once people make a small commitment, they're more likely to follow through with bigger ones. Pattern interrupt is when you break an expected pattern, like acknowledging your assumptions might be wrong, to re-engage someone's attention.
Great. So our listeners can use these terms when talking about outreach strategy, sales psychology, or persuasive communication.
Right. These are phrases you'll hear constantly in marketing meetings, sales training, and strategic discussions.
All right, Sarah, before we finish, what's the one thing you want people to take from this episode?
Stop thinking of follow-ups as checking in. Think of them as opportunities to deliver progressive value. The difference between annoying persistence and appreciated persistence is whether each touchpoint offers something the recipient didn't have before. If you structure your follow-ups around reciprocity, timing, and genuine personalization, your response rates will transform completely.
Here's what we want from listeners. Have you tried these follow-up strategies? What phrases have worked for you? Let us know in the comments.
And if you test the 4-phase framework we discussed today, come back and tell us what changed. Did your response rate improve? Which phase triggered the most engagement?
Sarah, your clarity made all the difference today. Truly appreciate it.
Thanks so much, everyone. I believe in your ability to master these strategies. Make those emails count.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Next episode, we're diving into the opening line that gets your email read in the first place. You think your subject line doesn't matter? Think again. We'll show you the exact formulas that trigger opens and the psychological triggers that make people actually want to read what you've written. See you there. Business Essentials Podcast. Unlock your career.
Learn to speak business English like a pro.